Zbigniew Brzezinski. It rolls out of the mouth like something Bill Cosby came up with in a coke-fueled binge. Zbig zobble deeble dobble. But no, who is Brzezinski? Brzezinski is one of the most important technocrats of the 20th century and thinkers of our age. In fact, he's in a way a successor to Dr. Carroll Quigley, which I lectured in about 18 hours, 16 hours on the totality of tragedy and hope. So definitely go to JaysAnalysis and check that out. But what we're going to talk about in this week's JaysAnalysis show is the writing, the works, the interviews of Zbigniew Brzezinski. Now, Brzezinski went to McGill University as someone fleeing from the Soviets out of Poland, and at McGill he was noticed for, I think, studying technocracy. And you can find this very easily in his first book in 1970, Between Two Ages, where he talks about weather modification. He talks about ELF towers and the ability to influence people through large-scale electromagnetic weaponry. He talks about the ability to create a completely government-controlled apparatus which would direct you from womb to tomb, basically. He called it lifelong education even back in 1970. So Brzezinski is formative in many ways. He talked about how the internet would be this catalyzing force to mow down ideologies, how technology would kind of become a new religion in the next several decades. And he says basically that there's the death of three things: the death of God, the death of religion, the death of nationalism, and the death of culture. And this is achieved primarily through consumerism. So here you have a key technocrat who would be a deep state advisor to numerous administrations after him: Carter, Reagan. He would even be prominent in the Obama administration, and that's because he's the father of the NGO smart, complex, soft power approach. He's the father of that technology of using hybrid warfare to destroy existing cultures, break them down through control, chaos, and destabilization. So you have to understand Brzezinski to understand the 20th century and the clash of civilizations idea, this idea of smashing the West up against Islam. This is a planned thing that Samuel Huntington, Bernard Lewis, many of the neocons, and Brzezinski, who appears to oppose the neocons at times, but that's only because he wants a more direct approach to fighting nationalism, to ending borders. Brzezinski pioneered this idea of destroying cultures through the end of national borders. So population migration, weapons of mass migration, this was an idea that Brzezinski talked about. It's an old military strategy. So Brzezinski is in many ways the successor to Bertrand Russell and H.G. Wells without all the fun. So you can remove all the exterior trappings of utopianism, and this is what you get in the character Brzezinski, a Machiavellian figure, no doubt. But we definitely need to understand that Brzezinski is the father of the very things that we're living through. All of this war on terror. This is not chiefly a neocon idea. This actually goes back to Brzezinski. He's the one who trained the Mujahideen. He's the one who gave Carter the idea to use the Mujahideen and create Al-Qaeda back in 1979 in Afghanistan as a force against the Soviets. So Brzezinski is not an American, and this is what trips up a lot of people, because they look at him and they try to figure out, is he a capitalist, is he a socialist? Actually, Brzezinski is above the fray, and he says this in every one of his books. His 1997 book, Grand Chessboard, he says that you can be above the fray and control the Manichaean dialectics, and that's what technocracy is. Technocrat goes back to the 1920s, it goes back to the Huxleys, it goes back to Bertrand Russell, it goes back to all these characters who wanted to establish this global grid, basically, to control every single group on the planet, and they would do that through mowing down their ideologies, and that's all a strategy. This is not a bare analysis on the part of Brzezinski. This is actually a weaponized strategy. And so the weaponization of full spectrum dominance, that's actually directly from the strategies of Brzezinski. So that's what we're going to talk about in JaysAnalysis. We're going to look at each one of his works this week. And we're going to do a full in-depth analysis. You've heard the interviews I've done this week on it with Global Research and 21st Century Wire. Well, we're actually going to go even deeper, and we're going to look directly at each one of the books, and we're going to cite pages. We're going to look at the information and see that this is no small figure. And definitely, if you wanted to try to understand what's happening in the world, I don't think you can do it without understanding this tragedy and hope level figure in the character of Brzezinski.